Hey, hi, how are you? My name's Felt, and we're going to be talking pretty quickly about my Shadebinder Warlock build. It's what I used to achieve Conqueror in basically a day. Long story, don't ask. And it's really powerful, it's really fun, and while it doesn't kill stuff fast, it will keep everything CC'd until the end of time, essentially. The star of the build is the Osmiomancy gloves. They are required if you don't have a good pair. Well, I guess technically the day I recorded this, gloves were up in a quick loss sector, but that's not always how this works, is it? Find a day when exotic gloves are up in lost sectors, farm, pray, repeat. Make sure you do run cold snap grenades with them. If you don't run cold snap grenades, you don't get the benefit of an extra grenade, so you don't get the benefit of the real star, Bleak Watcher turrets. You charge your grenade, you throw it out, you make a turret that shoots stasis everywhere. It's incredibly powerful, it freezes stuff decently quickly, and if you pair it with something like your Glacial Harvest aspect here, I almost said fragment, my bad. With your aspect here, it will make you tons and tons and tons of stasis shards, because I believe it makes you 3 every time you freeze something on higher level targets. So if you're using it on like champions or something just to keep them preoccupied, you will make like a billion. It's really great. Fragments, I'm going to go through them slowly but quickly, if that makes sense. These builds have been around for a while, so they're not like groundbreaking and new. However, I did want to talk about it because I want to talk about how I'm going to try and continue it going forwards with a new modding system that Bungie just talked about that they're going to introduce for Lightfall. So fragments, which I know will, which I'm like, well, I don't know, I'm like 90% sure will stay the same, are Whisper of Conduction. Making shards track to you is really nice. Fair warning, there is a way to make this build work for the most part with Ice Flare bolts. You would probably want to drop Whisper of Conduction at that point, because if you're using Ice Flare bolts, you're focusing more on freezing the world and not making stasis shards, so there's no reason to have your stasis shards track you. But, you know, mileage may vary. I like stasis shards. Whisper of Chains. While you're near a frozen target or friendly stasis crystal, you take reduced damage. It's just good. Whisper of Fissures increases the damage and size of burst of stasis when you destroy a stasis crystal or defeat a frozen target. Whole point of the build is to freeze the world. Why not make that freezing explosion better? And Whisper of Refaction, defeating slowed or frozen targets grants you class ability energy, which does matter for the build to a degree, which is what we're going to hop into right now because of using stuff like Bomber, where you cast your class ability to reduce grenade cooldown. That is a major part of the build, honestly, and a part of the cycle that you will go through with it. Throw a grenade, throw down rift, throw a grenade, throw a melee, pick up shards, start repeating ad nauseum. Other important parts of the build are using a way to turn those elemental stasis crystals into elemental wells. We know that some of this system is going to be staying the same come Lightfall, based on the description in the document that Bungie dropped. But bottom line is, if the system does change slightly, try and find a way to make your stasis shards count as elemental wells when in whatever the new system has, and then use something like elemental charge to turn those into charged with light mods, because the number one thing that really matters about the build that really makes it shine is actually firepower. I'm going to assume that firepower will be something existing going forwards. It just might have a different name, might have a different function, might have a different way about it of working, but I'm sure there will be a mod that exists that will make it so that when you throw your grenade, you get back a chunk of grenade energy, but you consume your charged with light or armor charge or whatever they're calling it come Lightfall. It is the star of the show. It is what lets you essentially throw a grenade and get half a grenade back, throw another grenade, get another half a grenade back, throw down your rift, and then all of a sudden, you are in fact back at a third grenade, so you can actually throw out 3 stasis turrets at once if you're starting from 2 full turrets without picking up a single stasis shard, which is incredibly powerful. You can also slap on stuff like Font of Might on the build. Depending on how much you care about doing DPS versus how much you care about ad clear, you can take off Font of Might and just slap on a third firepower to make it so that you essentially will always have a stasis turret shooting something. It was incredibly great at CC and crowd control. You're not going to kill stuff very quickly, but it does do its job of keeping everything under control very well. It is also a fairly straightforward build, where most of the build is in the gloves and subclass, so I thought it'd be a good build to cover, considering we know everything is going to change going into Lightfall. Hopefully you liked this video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff. I hope to catch you in the next one.